Today's show is sponsored by Squarespace, the #1 online website platform to help you turn that side hustle into a reality. Tudor are a big con, and they're doing it right under our noses, and everyone's buying it. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. We're going to talk about Tudor. It's actually going to be a bit of a rant. Now I'm going to start by saying I own 2 Tudor watches, and I think they are still probably the best dive watches I've ever reviewed, handled, and had in my collection. However, over the past 5 years, I've come to see Tudor's business tactics be a bit off, and I'm starting to see their business model as a bit of a con job, and it's all under our noses, but still people are buying into it. And what sparks today's rant is the new release of the Tudor Ranger, a watch that should have been 36mm in the first place, but also they've released it in this off-white, rather wee-stained coloured dull dial. It's another example of the business model Tudor have adopted over the last 5, 6, maybe even 10 years. And it's releases like that that make me think Tudor is anything but their strapline, which is born to dare, rather born to be dull. A watch release so lazy, I'd expect Jabba the Hutt to come up with something more interesting on his day off on a Sunday evening.
Tudor are walking.
But let me tell you why I think Tudor are making us look stupid. Are you Tudor stupid ready? Let's go. Let me tell you about today's sponsor, who are Squarespace. Now, if you run a company and you don't have a decent website, you could be losing clients left, right, and center. 2025 is all about the looks these days, and if you don't have a professional looking website to match your professional looking you, chances are you're not going to do as well as you think you are. Well, with the guys at Squarespace, they make it a piece of cake to help you make a website you could only dream of. And with hundreds of different templates to choose from, with different fonts, and you can customize all this to tailor everything specifically to your needs, and all done in a very simple and informative instructional way, there has never been a better time to get the website of your dreams. And now it's even better, because in the description below, you can get yourself 10% off your first purchase. So, if you want to level up your business in 2025, the best place to do it with is with Squarespace. Okay, around about 2015, Tudor saved their company, basically. They made the Black Bay, which was a celebration of Tudor and Rolex Submariners over the last 50, 60 years. It was chunky, slightly oversized, but we can let them off a little bit because at that point we were just coming down on that oversized watches wave. However, 2018 came and Tudor released the Black Bay 58, the hero model, the release that shot them to the stratosphere because they made a Black Bay the size it should have been in the first place. It's a look of a watch that Rolex collectors are crying out for Rolex to make, for them to dip in the oceans of the vintage world, be inspired by the 50s, the 60s, and come up with an overall package that Rolex and Tudor collectors love. And I think this is where the business model started. In my opinion, Tudor released dud watches. What do you mean by that? Watches that sort of resemble something we love. It's not the right size, it looks big, it looks chunky, but because it slightly resembles maybe a Rolex of an old Tudor, we want to buy it. And let's talk about the Black Bay GMT. A very nice looking watch. I reviewed the opaline dial one, but again, so chunky. If anyone has ever handled a Rolex GMT Master 2 or any decent Swiss automatic GMT watch, there's no reason for it to be that chunky. Really no reason. Now yes, some wrists can pull it off and they will tell you they prefer that size. And for any other company to make a watch with that much metal on the side of the case, they will get completely whooped by watch reviewers around the world. In actual fact, if an independent company showed off a case that chunky, it would almost get laughed at. But no, Tudor have a free pass and they get to make these watches with a lot of people going, ooh, ah, retro. no. Anyway, what did Tudor go and do? They released a Black Bay 58 GMT, showing just how thin a case can be on a GMT. Another sign of having a dumbed down release, selling a lot of units, and then further down the line, bring out the size it should have been in the first place, and then make more money. I mean, take a look at the Black Bay Pro. That had more wedge to it than the cheese I have in the fridge. And I do like a big wedge of cheese. Now, I'm not saying that Tudor do this on every single reference. The FXD is a perfect example of a great combination of Tudor working with the Marine Nationale once again to come up with a fantastic modernized version of a watch that they both had a big part in back in the late 60s. Let's not talk about the fact that they've tried to milk the hell out of it by bringing out a chrono version and a black version, but still, you've got to say well done. But we've got to come to the Ranger. It slightly resembles a 1016. It's a watch that is used by ADs in a tactical way to get a little bit of money out of people that want to buy Rolex before they're allowed to buy a Rolex. Now, watch reviewers around the world have been absolutely praising this Ranger. It is almost laughable. Some saying it's the best field watch of 2025, others saying it's a master stroke, and others saying Tudor just know how to do it. Do what? Make an all brushed case, all brushed bracelet, printed dial, and charge you £3,000 for it? But because it's Tudor and it has this Rolex relationship and it's kind of the beta version of a Rolex, people are yumming it up. But take yourself away from the Tudor Kool-Aid for a minute. Add these up. All brushed case, all brushed bracelet, just a printed dial. Yes, it's got a T-fit clasp, but there are watches for around £300 to £400 that has something very similar. Going back to Tudor's business model, they re-released this watch first as a 39mm. It looked horrible. The dial didn't look right. The loom of the hands were different to the loom on the dial. There was too much space on the dial when all hands were in a certain position. It did not feel, nor did it look like a luxury watch. But now we come to 2025 and we're supposed to clap and praise Tudor for making it the size it should have been in the first place.
36mm, bravo!
And let's talk about this rather white stained, looks like my wife's old Nissan white dial, which Lucy represents. What does it represent? Get the website out. The June white dial. It's a subtle homage to Tudor's involvement in the world's toughest race. With a permanent population of 0, the only things you'll find along the tracks of Dakar are extreme heat, rocks and towering sand dunes. It's also exactly the kind of place the Ranger was made for. Right. The press photos are quite funny, as the sand colour looks nothing like the beige colour of the dial. In context, it's slightly passable. Out of context, looks like a wee coloured white. And again, born to dare, more like born to don't. Anyway, come on, that's a rant. Let's be positive, eh? Shall we? Along the way, there has been some great Tudor releases, but I'm getting a little bit sick and tired of brands like Tudor doing something they should have done in the first place and or not doing much to change it. I mean, all you got to do is look at the likes of Christopher Ward. Look at what you can do with a dial that slightly represents sand. Now we got to talk about the Black Bay Chrono. Beautiful looking watch, but for many people, a bit too chunky. Now, I don't know about you, but I have my sneaky suspicion that maybe not in a year's time, maybe in 2 years' time, when they've sucked all the money out of a Black Bay Chrono they can do, Tudor will release a 39mm chronograph. And when they do, well, you can look back on this show and tell yourself, he was right! Now, before I come down on the rant and I sort of think about Casios or something, when it comes to, I don't know, the Ranger, what are we actually paying our £3,000 for? As I said, brush case, brush bracelet, printed dial, the movement is great, T-fit clasp is, well, it's something that they should have in all their bracelets now. A couple of years ago, Tudor were proud to let us all know that their watches were being assembled and made by robots. Now, we all know about the 60% Swiss made means it's Swiss made, but we don't know which parts are Swiss or which parts are, let's be fair, Chinese. Plus, who do you think made the robots that make the Tudor watches? I'll give you one guess. Now, I'm not knocking the Chinese whatsoever. In fact, I think the manufacturing in China is at a par, probably if not better. But when you look at this Tudor Ranger,
Where's the £3,000 going?
because I could show you a Hamilton for 1/5 of the price that is just as good if not better.
But David Beckham doesn't wear it.
There you go. Thank you so much for being on this rant with me. Like I said, I love my Tudor Black Bay 58s, but recently I've become not only tired, not only Tudor, but other big brands taking us for suckers by not doing very much and charging us so much more than they used to. But I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. If you've watched till the end, you are very special. And if you want to show even more specialism, come and join the Patreon. See the shows early, blooper reels, behind the scenes content, private group chat, and get your name at the end of every show like these lovely people. But if I've got you here for a few more minutes, and I think I have, because this next one won't be a rant, I promise. There'll be some nice Tudors here. Come on. Nah, you'll love it. Come on. Come on, click, 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 click it.